Hello and welcome straight from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Home Minister Amit Shah reiterates India's zero-tolerance policy towards left-wing extremism, as at least 30 left-wing extremists are eliminated in two separate encounters in Chhattisgarh. The Kremlin dubs Europe the party of war as UK Prime Minister boards a sub showcasing his nation's nuclear deterrence on a day EU leaders are meeting in Brussels to bolster Ukraine's defences. And a tight race is on to succeed Thomas Bach as the next International Olympic Committee president in Greece's Costa Novrino. Results will be coming around 14:30 GMT. The Israeli military has said on Thursday it has begun conducting ground activities in the northern Gaza Strip along the coastal route in the area of Beit Lahia. Israel had resumed intense airstrikes and ground operations in Gaza on Tuesday after issuing what it calls a last warning to the Hamas. The renewed offensive comes after a brief period of calm since January. Meanwhile, the Hamas's armed wing said on Thursday that it fired a barrage of rockets against Tel Aviv. Israel's army said it intercepted a projectile fired from Gaza on Thursday, while two others fell in an uninhabited area after air raid sirens sounded out in Tel Aviv. Now, Russia and the US are set to discuss safe shipping in the Black Sea as part of talks on a potential Ukraine peace settlement. The meeting is expected to take place next week in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that while the exact date is yet to be confirmed, expert-level discussions will continue in the coming days.
You remember that we had quite a rich experience in implementing the Black Sea Initiative. We fulfilled all the conditions then, but the conditions in relation to us were never fulfilled. Therefore, of course, all this, as they say, on the shore will have to be discussed in detail, and also other aspects related to the Ukrainian settlement which the parties consider necessary.
And British Prime Minister Keir Starmer boarded a nuclear-armed submarine as it returned from a patrolling mission after several months. Starmer's visit comes at a time when European countries are increasing defence spending and seeking to reduce their dependence on the US. Prime Minister Starmer told reporters that the Kremlin respects the United Kingdom's nuclear arsenal as the country has its own independent deterrent and is committed to NATO. Earlier this week, Britain said a significant number of countries were willing to station peacekeeping troops in Ukraine. The Kremlin, however, on Thursday accused Europe of militarizing itself and turning into a party of war. And European leaders have gathered in Brussels on Thursday for a two-day summit to discuss Ukraine and European defense. The agenda includes discussions on the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, with a particular focus on the bloc's continued support for Ukraine, especially amid heightened tensions and the need for security guarantees. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has said that Europe must continue its strong support to Ukraine, regardless of any talks between Washington and Moscow, to ensure Kyiv is in a position of strength and that a ceasefire is achieved.
For us, it is crucial that Ukraine remains an independent, sovereign and democratic nation, that it can continue on its path towards the European Union, and that it has a strong army of its own even after the peace agreement. These are the things that we must ensure. And of course, this now includes the possibility of a ceasefire on the basis of President Zelensky's proposals. There is now a first step that seems possible in view of the results of the talks between the Russian president and the American president.
US President Donald Trump will sign a long-anticipated executive order on Thursday that aims to shut down the Department of Education, acting on a key campaign pledge, according to a White House summary seen by a news agency. Even before it was signed, the order was being challenged by a group of Democratic state attorneys generals who filed a lawsuit seeking to block Donald Trump from dismantling the department and halt the layoffs of nearly half of its staff announced last week. The NAACP, a leading civil rights group, also blasted the expected order as unconstitutional. Trump and his billionaire advisor Elon Musk have attempted to shut down government programs and institutions such as the U.S. Agency for International Development without congressional approval, but abolishing the Department of Education would be Trump's first bid to shut down a cabinet-level agency. U.S. stock markets jumped Wednesday as the Federal Reserve held interest rates steady after a policy meeting. The U.S. Central Bank's rate decision was widely expected, although it also cut its growth forecast for 2025 and hiked its inflation outlook. Take a look.
The U.S. Federal Reserve paused interest rate cuts again on Wednesday and warned of increased economic uncertainty as it seeks to navigate an economy unnerved by President Donald Trump's stop-start tariff rollout. Policymakers voted to hold the U.S. Central Bank's key lending rate at between 4.25% and 4.5%. They also cut their growth forecast for the year 2025 and hiked their inflation outlook while still penciling in 2 rate cuts this year, in line with their previous forecast in the month of December. US Fed Chief Jerome Powell said that the risk of recession had risen slightly in recent weeks, but was not yet a cause for concern.
It is going to be very difficult to have a precise assessment of how much of inflation is coming from tariffs and from other, and that's already the case. You may have seen that goods inflation moved up pretty significantly in the first 2 months of the year. Trying to track that back to actual tariff increases, given what was tariffed and what was not, very, very challenging. So some of it, the answer is clearly some of it. A good part of it is coming from tariffs, but we'll be working, and so will other forecasters, to try to find the best possible way to separate non-tariff inflation from tariff inflation.
In an unusual move, Fed Governor Christopher Waller opposed the Fed's rate decision because of his colleagues' support for slowing down the pace at which it is shrinking the balance sheet. Now, US President Donald Trump said the Federal Reserve would be better off cutting rates as US tariffs start to ease their way into the economy. All 3 major Wall Street indices closed higher on the news, while government bond yields fell after the Fed announced it would slow down the rate at which it is reducing its balance sheet, which swelled during the pandemic. Most Asian equities also rose Thursday after US Federal Reserve boss Powell suggested any increase in consumer prices caused by tariffs would likely be short-lived. Anamika Pandey's report for DD India.
And European Trade Commissioner Markus Sefcovic on Thursday said that the European Union could delay the imposition of a first set of countermeasures against the United States over President Donald Trump's steel and aluminium tariffs until mid-April. The Commission had proposed reimposing tariffs on 4.5 billion euros of US products on the 1st of April, followed by hitting a further 18 billion euros of US exports on the 13th of next month. EU member state Luxembourg warns that international trade is in danger if the US precipitates a full-blown tariff war. Visiting Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Luxembourg, Xavier Bettel, spoke exclusively with DD India's Ramesh Ramachandran in New Delhi.
America first doesn't mean America alone. And the answer shouldn't be Europe alone. The thing is, we should see how we can work together, how we can come around the table, and to have pragmatic solutions. But the fact is, Donald Trump is a businessman and he wants good business for his country. But it cannot be just at the cost of the others.
True. And you can catch the full interview at 6:30 p.m. IST in just a few minutes, or 1300 GMT on Thursday. Now, Turkey has seized the construction company co-owned by detained Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu on Thursday, based on financial crime investigation reports. Meanwhile, thousands of protesters took to the streets of Istanbul to protest the arrest of the city's mayor. Authorities also detained 37 suspects for allegedly making provocative posts, inciting crime and hatred over the detention. Turkey arrested İmamoğlu on Wednesday on charges such as graft and aiding a terrorist group. Also, Istanbul Mayor İmamoğlu has urged the judiciary to take a stand against the Turkish government's alleged misuse of the courts to order his detention. And speaking on the entire episode, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has sharply criticized the arrest of the mayor of Istanbul, calling the situation a very worrying sign for EU-Turkey relations.
In recent years, we have endeavored to further improve relations between Europe and Turkey. That is why the arrest of such a key opposition politician and the mayor of Istanbul is a very, very bad sign. It is a bad sign for democracy in Turkey, but it is certainly also a bad sign for relations between Europe and Turkey. We can only call for an immediate end to this and for the opposition and the government to compete with each other rather than the opposition being put on trial.
But the Kremlin has labelled it as Turkey's internal matter. Now, South Korea's Constitutional Court on Thursday said that it will deliver a decision on Prime Minister Han Duck-soo's impeachment next Monday. Han, who first took over as acting president after Yoon Suk-yeol was impeached for declaring martial law on the 3rd of December last year, and was later impeached by Parliament himself just 13 days after taking office. Han's impeachment came after he declined to immediately appoint 3 justices to fill vacancies at the Constitutional Court. Later, Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok assumed the role of acting president of South Korea. Now, with the urgency of the world's climate crisis being more broadly accepted, companies have long started to react and making environmental claims in their advertising. Some might be prudent, others not so much. A German environmental group is now suing companies for misleading customers. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin. Good evening to you, Lars, from Delhi. What can you tell us about these cases?
Well, thanks for having me. Well, first of all, I can tell you that this is not the first time the group is doing this. We're talking about the Deutsche Umwelthilfe. Like you said, that's an environmental activist group. And with this latest batch of lawsuits, they are specifically going after companies they allege are misleading consumers with their advertising. Now, one should know that in Germany, more consumers are becoming tuned into environmental problems. More and more consumers are trying to change their habits, opting for products made in environmentally friendly ways, sustainable production methods, and so on. So with the consumer changing habits, there was always the risk, of course, of companies just jumping on board of that train and using certain keywords or claims in advertising without actually delivering.
Okay, Lars, but do these lawsuits have any chance of succeeding, or are they more of a publicity stunt for the environmental group?
There is definitely a good chance they will succeed because they have before. Just last summer, a court actually banned the candy maker Katjes from using the term climate friendly on its chewable fruit drops for exactly that reason. They didn't specify how the product was produced climate friendly. And on further investigation, it turned out that it actually wasn't. The company had been using the same old production methods with the same old emissions, except they had bought a certificate to compensate for their emissions, investing in sustainable projects. But this financial investment, if you think about it honestly, doesn't actually make the gummies themselves more ecologically safe or environmentally friendly. The judge at the time said it was more important for climate change to reduce emissions than to financially compensate for them. Also, back to all these lawsuits, one should agree that some truth in advertising is simply necessary, and just making unfounded claims should be banned indeed.
Certainly. Lars Holter, thank you for joining us from Berlin. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Groundbreaking moment for Indian football. Artificial intelligence is set to change the football landscape.
इंडिया में जितने इंडियंस हैं उतने ही इंडियाज भी. So for the record, this is my India.
This is my Undekha. Unsuna.
Unbelievable India.
This is my favorite designer wear wala India.
My Sakhat Energy Hero India.
এই হলো আমার দুর্দান্ত রোড ট্রিপের ইন্ডিয়া. So India, join the Waves Explorer Challenge.
Show us what makes you say, for the record. This is my India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, in a major offensive against naxals, at least 30 members of the banned CPI Maoist group have been killed in two separate encounters in India's central state of Chhattisgarh. According to officials, 26 left-wing extremists were killed in Bijapur district and 4 others were gunned down in conclave area by a joint team of the BSF and DRG personnel of the state police. A police jawan was also martyred in the encounter at Bijapur. The gunfight broke out at around 7 a.m. IST in a forest along the border of Bijapur and Dantewara districts when a joint team of security personnel was out on an anti-Naxalite operation in Gangalore police station area of Bijapur. In a separate operation in Kankere district, 4 left-wing extremists were killed in an exchange of fire near village Koroskodo in Chote Betia. Security forces were conducting combing operations when they came under attack and retaliated strongly. And India's Home Minister Amit Shah has lauded the security forces for achieving another big success in the direction of Naxal Mukt Bharat Abhiyan or Naxal Free India campaign. In a post on X, he said, and I quote, "The Modi government is moving forward with a hard approach against Naxals and is adopting a zero-tolerance policy against those Maoists who are not surrendering despite all the options ranging from surrender to inclusion. The country is going to be Naxal free before the 31st of March next year." India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shankar shared his vision for a stronger India, Latin America and Caribbean relationship at the 10th CII India-LAC conclave in New Delhi on Thursday. Speaking at the session on the theme Advancing Economic Alliances for Collaborative Growth, Dr. Jaishankar said that in current times of post-COVID era and conflicts, the need of the hour is to de-risk global economy from concentration of power. He thus stressed that focus should be on reliable and resilient supply chains.
Clearly, there is a need to de-risk the global economy from the dangers of over-concentration in any single geography. But we also need to build reliable and resilient supply chains. At the same time, because we have now moved decisively, irrevocably into the digital era, we need to ensure trust and transparency when it comes to selection of partners.
The External Affairs Minister also referred to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's recent visit to Guyana for the India-CARICOM summit, saying that the potential of ties with the region lie mainly in trade, technology, tourism, talent and tradition.
Last year, while visiting the LAC region, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced the development of a portal, partnerindia.org. It would focus on the 5 T's: trade, technology, tourism, talent and tradition. Once developed and boarded, it would be the port of first call for those who are keen to engage with each other. We expect this portal to materialize by the end of the year, and hopefully it would contribute to making this conclave an even smarter deliberation.
With an aim to make cancer cure accessible and affordable for the entire world, an MOU between International Atomic Energy Agency and Tata Memorial Hospital was signed on Thursday, recognizing Tata Memorial Centre as an anchor centre. Sharma Mishra has filed this report from Mumbai.
Of International Atomic Energy Agency today signed an MOU with Tata Memorial Centre in India's financial capital Mumbai for IAEA's Ray of Hope initiative. TMH will be an anchor centre between International Atomic Energy Agency and the Tata Memorial Centre. Under this initiative, IAEA intends to provide training, support, equipment, research and innovation.
The IEA has been working in the past with India and with the Tata Center, but we have come to the conclusion jointly that the level of the situation in terms of cancer cases in the world requires more collaboration, more cooperation. So this is why we decided to join our efforts. The signing of this memorandum of understanding means that now the Tata Medical Center is going to be what we call an anchor center, which means that we are going to have dedicated teams working together, IEA and Tata teams working together, going to countries, providing training, technology as may be needed. So it's a very important moment for us.
DG Grossi also emphasized through Rays of Hope's initiative that IAEA will identify and define anchor centers, cancer centers, organizing training courses for healthcare providers, also participate in IAEA coordinated research projects, and also provide experts in mentorship to other radiotherapy and medical imaging centers in the world. He also said the world institutions will have to come together in order to make cancer cure accessible and affordable, and this initiative is a work in that direction. He also added that India is a natural choice when it comes to choosing the anchor center for the initiative, adding that the work of TMH is exemplary.
What we need is to garner and to get as much international cooperation as possible. There are institutions, foundations, philanthropists like the Tata family did all over the world, which are willing to help. What we need to offer them is realistic and effective programs that can deliver instead of dispersing the resources on bureaucracy. So what we have here is a hospital, basically, that cares for people. You have an international organization, we join hands and we go out there just for that.
Shambhu Kumaran, the ambassador of India to Republic of Austria, Montenegro, Holy See, and the permanent representative to the international organizations in Vienna, reiterated India's commitment towards IAEA activities, including Program of Action for Cancer Therapy. Present among the dignitaries were Dr. A.K. Mohanty, the Secretary, DAE, and Chairman of Atomic Energy Commission, and also Dr. Sudeep Gupta, who is the Director of TMC. Sharma Mishra's report for DD India.
Nepal's Foreign Minister Arzu Rana Deuba, in an exclusive interview with DD India, has expressed Nepal's interest in seeking India's assistance in capacity building in the field of digital public infrastructure. She also emphasized that discussions on collaboration in this area should be a key focus during the upcoming BIMSTEC summit in Bangkok. Additionally, she highlighted that promoting connectivity remains a major agenda for Nepal, which will also be brought up during the forthcoming summit.
Nepal's Foreign Minister Arzu Rana Deuba is here with me. Madam, BIMSTEC summit is going to take place next month in Bangkok. So what are the issues that Nepal is planning to raise there?
I think some of the issues that Nepal finds very important is connectivity, also the climate change agenda, and then we will also be looking at access to maritime services. So there are many issues under BIMSTEC which will be discussed, and Nepal is also taking a lead on people to people, so we will be looking at tourism and issues like that.
Okay. India and Nepal are collaborating in UPI, I think. So what is the status of UPI in Nepal, and how Nepal government is, accelerating and using it?
I think it's working very well. People are very happy with the services, and I hope in the future it will be the gamut of services will be widened. So up tak jitna, whatever is being done till now has had very good response.
So in BIMSTEC also, do you think that this DPI, UPI issue might be raised and there might be collaboration between India and other BIMSTEC nations?
I think so, because India's experience and its learning, especially vis-a-vis the cost effectiveness of the technologies it has been using, it would be very, very useful for countries like Nepal. So I see a big scope in DPI that India has learned being taken across the board in all the countries of BIMSTEC.
So Nepal's foreign minister is telling that India should help other countries, especially the BIMSTEC ones, in capacity building on this issue of DPI. Akhilesh Suman for DD India in Delhi.
The government of Nepal has started discussions with Cambodia to operate direct air services. The government discussed the operation of the air service during a meeting with senior Cambodian government officials in Phnom Penh. Minister of Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation Badri Prasad Pandey, who is on a visit to Cambodia, held discussions with his Cambodian counterpart regarding the operation of direct air service between Nepal and Cambodia. Now for some sporting updates, the International Olympic Committee is set to have a new president on Thursday to succeed Thomas Bach. 7 candidates are on the ballot competing for the top spot at the 144th IOC session being held from the 18th to the 21st of this month in Greece. Juan Antonio Samaranch Jr., Sebastian Coe and Christy Coventry are believed to be neck and neck for the top post but clear of the remaining quartet. The voting for the IOC president's post is scheduled to start at 1400 GMT, and the winner will be the first to obtain an absolute majority, and the result could be out within half an hour of the start of voting. A groundbreaking moment for Indian football is on the horizon. German Football Association and TSG Hoffenheim, in collaboration with TCG Digital, have introduced revolutionary technology to the Indian football landscape. This breakthrough is set to redefine the future of Indian football, transforming talent acquisition and revolutionizing how the sport is consumed. Here's a report.
Groundbreaking co-innovation lab.
As artificial intelligence continues to reshape the world, it was only a matter of time before the sports industry felt its impact. For the first time, AI will play a pivotal role in transforming talent scouting and player development in Indian football. During a press meet in New Delhi, the German Football Association, TSG Hoffenheim, and TCG Digital unveiled a revolutionary breakthrough in sports technology. This innovation aims to identify grassroots talent with precision, ensuring that the next generation of Indian football is discovered through data-driven insights. The event featured industrial experts providing exclusive insights and demonstrations of how AI and data analysis can identify players' potential and track performances real-time.
This will be a good pathway for the youngsters who are having, the first thing when it comes like the partiality comes, where you can't cheat. It's all about what you're delivering on the field, and it comes through the database analyst. All the data will be there, and you can have a help out. Coaches can help out where exactly you have to work on, and they can have ideas and they can improvise. More smart work will help with the players to grow.
The use of AI in scouting is expected to create a level playing field for young footballers across India. Talented players from remote areas and underrepresented areas could get the recognition and training they need to compete at the highest level.
I think technology is a huge factor in this. We just had an agreement with Prasar Bharati to stream all our matches on Waves, their new OTT platform. But what else can we do to make the product better? Multi-language commentary, automatic clipping of sequences, push to social media platforms. So we need to, and it's all of this for free. So we really want to expand the reach and hopefully create lots of football fans.
AI will also enhance broadcast experience on both television and social media, as it is designed to provide highlights and reports of the match within minutes of the final whistle. It will also provide short-format videos for deeper penetration on the internet. The initiative aims to enhance strategies for the game and injury prevention through advanced analytics, giving teams a competitive edge in global tournaments.
The use of AI in player scouting and game analysis will change the Indian footballing landscape forever. This will ultimately pave the way for Indian football to shine on the global stage. With cameraman Srinivas, this is Meher Raj Singh for DD India, Delhi.
And that's all we have for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. You can download the app by scanning the QR code on the screen. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.